Save your beats.
Catch us ballin' like we just hit the jackpot. We just hit the jackpot. We just hit the jackpot. Catch us ballin' like we just hit the jackpot. We just hit the jackpot. We just hit the jackpot. We just hit the. Yeah, I'm Savior Beats.
I'm Nicola Pope.
Coming at you from Atlanta, that's a fofo.
And the 678-770.
Peace State, great state, where we puffin' that dro.
Trying to get away, people let it stray.
Yeah, we just wanna lead, wanna motivate.
But I'm the type of cracker that you love to hate.
Yeah, and I'm the type of nigga that you love to hate.
Spend the night with me and it's like you hit the jackpot.
They love it.
The bottles are flowing, the women are dancing, my crew in the booth, sipping on 100 proof, whiskey, tequila, and vodka. My crew, we kick it like soccer, smoking on weed that got hell like Chewbacca, wearing tight pants like a Russell
thanks for
rocker.
tuning in. On the block, McCrae, make sure your mic is not muted.
We're not muted. We're good.
Okay, good.
Levels should be good.
All right. No, everybody, this is our game rundown with Austin Matelson. Glad to have him in. So, what's up, Austin?
Hey guys, how you doing? It's good to be here.
Oh,
Good,
it's
good.
good. Yeah.
So-
This is a good one. I'm super
This is
excited
good,
about this.
yeah.
This is gonna be a good one. We've been talking about this one forever. Shit, you even talked about it on the feeds and what have you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But first, we have to give a big shout out to our boy, the Fleet Music. Jackpot, that's what the song that we heard coming in here. So big shout out to Jace and the Fleet Music.
yeah.
Go check it out on SoundCloud, the Fleet Music. But yeah, that being said, let's kind of get into it. We've got a lot to cover.
Okay.
You know, you obviously are a huge damn fan of Big Brother. You have a Big Brother tattoo.
Yeah.
Where did this?
Let's see it.
Is
Oh,
it on
God.
your ass? Yeah.
I don't care where it is if you've got one. Let's see
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
awesome.
Okay.
That's
That's
awesome.
cool. That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
where did the love of Big Brother come from? Where did you get into it?
Yeah.
Where did it all start?
Actually, I started season 1 at home. I was playing. I was playing the video game. I was a little kid. I was like 15, 14, playing Mega Man Legends.
Hell
You remember that game? It was a
Hell
great
yeah.
game.
Yes.
And I'd play that up until the time the show started, and then I'd watch it in the summer. And I just really liked the concept. Even though they changed it after that, season 2 it got a lot better. And I just followed it from there. When I finally had a computer fast enough, I could watch the live feeds. 6 and 7 were my favorite ones on the live feeds. And then I started trailing off as I got older and started doing more things. But I always watched the show and as much feeds as I could, because I always know that the feeds are totally different than what's usually being portrayed on the show. So I wanted to get both always. And the only season I didn't really see was last season, 16. And then I've seen everything else though up to that.
All right. So then, how did you kind of get into? Because as soon as I saw you, I was like, "Hey, motherfucker, giving me a bunch of shit on when during 15 you doing your pod." But how did you get into that little podcast game? How did you?
Oh, the podcast originally it was 15.
Yeah.
Well, I had just come back from WWE. I was rehabbing injuries out here, and AfterBuzz Studios does a whole lot of shows, and they do WWE review shows, and they wanted me to come down for that. So I came down during one of their WWE ones, and I was like, "You guys do a Big Brother one? Can I sit in on it? I've been watching this whole season. I want to talk. Yeah. So they let me sit on it and talk, and then the host didn't show up, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there by myself hosting it, which is ridiculous. And then I went to.
Episode.
Okay, well, sorry guys. I don't know what I was saying. I was on pills. No. Okay, I was rehabbing a hip. I was on medication.
No. It was super good. I have to give shit to everyone just because that's how it works.
To be honest, you fucking really good at it. So
Absolutely.
that's you did a good job.
They liked me then.
Yeah.
But all right, so before we even do that, the audition process. How did you want to audition? Where did that come from?
Well, I tried to audition at a live casting call back at season 8, but I was 21, was not Judas yet. I didn't develop who I was as a person. Nothing happened. And then after wrestling, I was like, okay, I have something now. Mm-hmm. So I was able to kind of send off a written description about me, got it into the right hands. They liked what I wrote down. They brought me in from there, and I went through all the stages. Okay. And so I applied, technically. Technically.
So that's not that's a completely atypical way to apply for the show.
It was
to write
pretty
a fucking
atypical. I just
paragraph.
went for it.
You just got in the right hands. Is that basically what you're saying? You just got in the right hands?
I got in the right hands. And I wrote something provocative enough, but I still had to sell myself in all the audition rounds.
Yeah,
which is tough.
No, absolutely. Those auditions, I fucking loved them. I did. I had a ball because I'm eating pork chops on these motherfuckers in this hotel room, and I just gotta get there and bullshit with them. It's it's all good, Right, I loved all those interviews. But okay, it's so your season for casting is weird. Okay, Broadcast put together a great cast. I said, I tweeted out earlier, I think that like 4 months ago, I think this is probably the best cast since like season 12. It was interesting. I think it was a great cast. But like, okay, with Tinder, Clay was discovered. I mean, it's like people are always asking, like, how do you get on these shows? How do you do these auditions and stuff anymore? It's like, man, you just got to have a shtick or be fucking hot. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got plenty of social media accounts so they can find your shit.
Exactly. You got to have something that differentiates you. It makes them want to, I knew from wrestling how to sell myself too and how to talk and how to focus on certain things and like weed out things that aren't necessary to talk about and then how to interact with the crowd. So that definitely helped me in the process, and I think that's big.
Did you try to sell Judas in the interviews?
Yes, that's something they liked a lot, and that's part of the reason I went with it. I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. At first, I was like, I'm just going to walk in the house and go, "Hey, my name's Austin, but my friends call me Judas, and I have no friends," and see what it would be ridiculous. But I realized, okay, that's probably not the best way to actually advance in a game of paranoia. So I wasn't going to reveal it at all. I was just going to do it for a funny thing in the DR for my own amusement,
Yeah, well, like because it is really funny, and like we're kind of jumping ahead, but I want to get the Judas out of the way, like as we walk through the game, because it seems very dangerous to have an alter ego that everybody knows about that lies and you can't trust.
Right.
And like you take your hat into the fucking DR. Every time I saw you go there with the, I would tell them, I was like, y'all gotta put a hat rack in here. I cannot be going back and forth with this thing because they're getting really suspicious.
I was scared. I didn't do it that much because people were already suspicious of that damn memory wall picture. Are you kidding me? Big Brother really sold me out on that one. I look like the devil on that picture. I'm like, okay, this is gonna help me. But the whole thing with the Judas is really like, okay, this was my wrestling thing, Judas. That's what people know me as in the wrestling world. And I kind of had something to prove. WWE kind of thought, hey, I wasn't entertaining. I was injured. Let's get rid of him kind of thing. And we parted ways amicably. But at the same time, like, hey, I want to show that this Judas idea in my head could be something that people find interesting. Whether they hate or love it, it's something interesting. And it was definitely my idea with it wasn't just to be a bad guy and lie. I kind of said that at first, but I was like, it's actually ended up being more of like a manifestation of my personality that is a realist. Like Austin gets his head in the clouds, he falls in love. We saw that.
Yes.
But Judas is supposed to pull him back and go, hey, okay, this is still a game. You're still playing for your family. You're still got to think everyone still could be lying to you. How can you be a strategist too? So it's that cautious side of me that has been seasoned through life and gone through a lot of stuff. So it wasn't really supposed to be an evil betrayer. It was more of just a layer to me as a weird philosophical guy.
Okay. So going in, how much give me a percentage. How much gameplay was supposed to be Austin? How much was Judas? Now on the outside after it, how much was Austin? How much was Judas?
That's a good question. I think going in, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I was going to sit back and wait till I understood everyone's personalities around me and then see how I could do it. And I realized quickly I wanted to do the Judas thing just in the diary room, kind of. And I wasn't really going to bring it out to play because it's just too dangerous. It's stupid. So it was really going to be all Austin playing out there, and then it was going to be maybe Judas in the diary room saying things and trying to be entertaining, and then maybe actually, saying what's really going on in my head. So it's supposed to be 50-50. And then ultimately it was probably 85-50. I mean, it was like mostly Austin, but for a lot of reasons, because like I started really caring about Liz, and I didn't want to go to the diary room and start making up shit like I didn't like I was playing her because I wasn't. Like I was just into her.
That's one of the toughest parts about going in there is everyone wants to be the badass motherfucking cutting people, but like I'm a big softie too, where it's like I started meeting these people and I'm like, oh man, this is tough. Like
it's really tough.
Yeah, you start to develop genuine feelings for a lot of your castmates, and it becomes
everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, get your heads examined. I didn't care about nobody. I just have the chance. I didn't even get to vote for anybody hardly. Shit.
Damn. Well, that's the thing, man. It's hard because you do like. I liked everyone. I was like, I generally didn't dislike anyone. Yep. Sometimes you get frustrated with people. Yep. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know if you can trust them. But like, I knew on the outside of the world, I probably want to be friends with everybody.
Yeah, sure.
That's just how I am. Yeah.
Sure.
Let's just start kind of walking through the weeks.
Okay.
Week one, I guess. What didn't we see when the feeds were down? Like, we probably got the feeds maybe day 7, I think. So what happened?
And Austin, before you start, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to remind everybody that you had immunity.
I did have immunity that first week.
You did have immunity this first week. So for you, building relationships are going to be a little bit different since you don't have your foot's not in the fire at all. So I want you to talk about that immunity and go forward. I also just to remind you, I do this with everybody. I'm going to go through it. The first week, I'll tell you the HOHs. I'll tell you Battle of the Block. Noms, that kind of stuff, because it gets lost in your head. And
I know it all.
Fill in the blank. Okay, awesome.
I was ready for that day's come.
Awesome. Well, but get us up basically to when the game starts. Get us to just talk, socialize, and that kind of stuff.
So really, that first week for me was awkward because I did have that fast forward pass. So I felt safe, but I also felt like I shouldn't go up to the HOH room and start talking game because I don't have a right to, because I'm safe and everyone else needs to. So it was like an awkward kind of tension thing, and no one was talking to me necessarily game because I was kind of just a mute point. At that point, I'm just out of it. Mm-hmm. So that week, so I missed out on a lot of stuff. So what did I do? I hung out with Jace all week, and that was just bro this, bro that, and it was a lot of fun. And people were getting annoyed by it, and I was totally actually blindsided by Jace being the target. I didn't know till like a day before when Vanessa told me.
Yeah.
But so that first week was a lot of socializing. I had a lot of personal conversations that I knew I couldn't have once the feeds went on. I told a lot of the house guests about what my real situation was outside of the house that became so controversial that I didn't want to talk about on the feeds.
Sure.
But it's things like, so people in the house, they knew me. We got to know each other on a different level. And then once the feeds come on, I could tell everyone kind of went into, oh shit, we're being watched mode. I kind of stayed the same, I felt, because I'm just like, the cameras don't bother me. I just am me, and like I'm just gonna be out there and be sarcastic and ridiculous, and whether or not people get it or not. But which I didn't get, I guess. But my housemates got it. They loved it. They were having fun with me. So
acquired taste. No.
Yeah, but ultimately when so James and Jason are those HOHs, and I'm not having any game talk at all with anyone but Jace. And then all of a sudden I learned, oh shit, he's going to be backdoored. This is not good.
So do you think the immunity? You don't think you'd have been in any danger week one, do you? Because let me go over this real quick.
No.
HOHs were Jason and James. Noms, Jason nominated Becky, Johnny Mac.
Yeah.
James nominated Jackie and Steve. Becky and Johnny Mac are going to win the Battle of the Block. Steve's going to win the Power of Veto. And then the final noms are going to be Jackie and Jace, with Jace as the target and going to be evicted. So now that we've got that out of the way, your boy, overcoming your boy leaving week one is tough. I knew I was probably the next.
Yeah, I was going to be the next target. I think they would have gone after him no matter what that first week. Maybe I was a backup target if things fell out.
Okay.
But I think they were going to go after Steve as a backup target, actually. Or Becky. Becky was supposed to be a backup target. I don't know. So I'm not sure if I was ever going to be a target that first week, because I was developing my own relationships with everybody at that time too, separate from Jace. And they knew I was the calm one and he was the hyper one.
Sure.
So,
he even got mad at you because he didn't feel like you were really doing enough to help him out. Talk about that. It's smart. You didn't need to. He was a sinking ship. So talk about that.
I told Liz, Julia, both of them, hey, we got to probably back off right now with the Jace because he's done. And I knew he was done. And I've seen this too many seasons. And it was there was nothing I could have done. If he did that whole blow up on Audrey before he went on the block, she could have potentially just went up. And I think people would have done that. But it was too late. He was done. They're not going to vote out Jackie that first week. So what can you do? I wanted to be his boy. I wanted to try to help him, but there's nothing I can do except ruin my own game. Yeah. So at that point, I was like, okay, time to reroute this whole thing right now. And that's when I tried to grab onto my closest person at that time, which was Liz/Julia, and okay, we're going to have to trust each other, and then also I had Vanessa at that time, and we're going to have to try to snake out of this mess.
Okay.
So you end up doing, spoiler alert, you do a fine job of it.
Well, talk about on this first week while we're here. We're going to start moving these weeks pretty fast because some things just kind of blend once alliances start, that kind of thing. But this first week, we've been introduced to the BB takeover. First week, it's Jeff and Jackie, okay? The Amazing Race. Okay, this is basically a pre-existing relationship that's coming into the game. They played it off pretty well. They weren't really even targeted, even though Jackie ends up being on the block this first week. But what was that like? What was kind of the gossip around that? What were people concerned about? How did Jeff try to? What were their individual games as you perceived them?
That was interesting that first week because they were never really considered targets, even though they should have been. If everyone was okay, they came in, they're together. They did play it off real well, and Jeff was real social, and I was having fun with him that first week. But then I saw that him and Jace weren't getting along. And then Audrey was running around talking to everyone about little things. She pulled me and Julie into a room and yelled at us for no reason about something being spread with Mama Day that I had no idea was going on. I'm at one point I walked out to the backyard and I just sat there and went, I can't talk to anyone. There's so much stuff going on. I have no idea what is happening. Is anyone here like just playing the game, or is everyone like production? Like it felt. I was like, I have no idea what's going on anymore. They were telling me, oh, you shouldn't talk to Lit, don't talk to her. And then Jeff is coming over saying, no, I want to work with you, man. But then I'm hearing from Clay, he's trying to backdoor me. I'm like, I don't know what to believe. So it's like I just had to start trusting my gut on stuff. And at that time, I was only talking to Vanessa, really with trust, and Liz and Julia.
With Vanessa, now her first couple of days in the house were rough emotionally. Even up to the point that feeds came on, she was having lots of trouble.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
How was she perceived in the house? Because from the way I viewed it, it seemed like she got really fucking lucky that Audrey stirred so much shit up that she was able to kind of regain her feet later on and then stay on top of the information, because it was also jumbled because of Audrey. So Audrey really helped Vanessa get set in the game, is the way I see it, but I don't hear what you think, because she seemed like a wreck.
Audrey helped everyone. She helped everyone get away from being a target. It was very important. But Vanessa, she had some emotional issues early on, but I don't think she was a target as much as she was just a question mark to everyone. And I remember Jeff asking me, hey, what do you think of Vanessa? I'm like, dude, you can trust her. Go have a conversation with her. Next thing you know, he was going to bring her into an alliance thing. So like I was actually trying to do, I remember the first week I was like, I'm aligned with Vanessa now, and I feel like her social game is going to be difficult for me to work with. And I was kind of getting nervous because I was going to feel like she was alienating herself because she didn't talk to many people. She was talking to Mama Day, and that was it. Yeah. And I was like, and I'm talking to everyone, and Liz talks to everyone. I was like, this is going to be tough, because I was trying to surround myself with social players. I didn't realize she was going to be such a great competitor, which ended up helping me more than it hurt me until the end.
Sure.
But so at first, she was just a question mark in everyone's mind, I think, except me, because I thought I could trust her.
You thought you could trust her, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so y'all's form really quickly, and we start working together. Okay, let's get through Jason. Let's get Shelltown's out of the way. Sorry, Shelltown, R.I.P.
Gotta go.
It's gone. Yeah, gotta go. Week 2, we want to run. Absolutely. Week 2, we're gonna go to the last laugh takeover, which Davon's gonna get to nullify 1,000 votes or something like that. And Shelly and Becky are going to the HOHs. Shelly's going to nominate Davon, Johnny Mac. Becky nominates Steve and Jason. Steve and Jason win Battle of the Block. Johnny Mac wins the Power Veto. And the final noms are Davon and Meg, and Davon's going to go home. So this is the first week that you're in a little bit, you don't have immunity anymore. So so the groundwork you laid that first week is of the utmost importance. Okay, with Shelly, what day did Sixth Sense form?
Ooh, Sixth Sense. I don't think Sixth Sense formed until later on, either at the end of that week. Yeah, at the end of that week, the day before, kind of the eviction, I think.
Okay,
for me. Because that's when I found out about the twins myself, was like the day of Davon's eviction is when I finally found out.
We should definitely talk about that, because to me, like, I'm a realist, and I know that I would be in the same exact boat with you, where it'd be like, I would be talking to a person, I would have no fucking clue of what was the reaction to that? Did you start I know you started realizing the signs and stuff like that, but did you? I don't even know, I guess, what I'm asking, because it just seems like everyone gives you a bunch of shit like, oh, you should have known, and I hear people being like, I would have known. It's like, kiss my ass. Like, how did you?
No.
Did you feel like the heel? Did you feel like, oh man, I'm an idiot? Because that's.
I felt like it. I felt like it. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I'm a complete idiot. I just laughed. I laughed for like 10 minutes straight with Vanessa when she told me.
Did it click in your mind?
Oh, right away. It totally clicked in my mind, because that's what I could tell something was different about the two girls.
Yeah.
But I wasn't focusing on that difference, because I had 30,000 other things racing through my mind about everyone else in the house, and it was early on, and I wasn't spending that much time with her yet. I mean, I was trying to talk to everybody. Yeah, but I knew I liked her, and I was like, ooh, I like her, but then I don't like her. I mean, I like her, but it was different. It went from being for me, it went from being a real interest to okay, this girl's not looking at me the same.
On and off, yeah.
It was on. It was weird. There was an up and down thing that I couldn't figure out. But I was just gonna go. I was trusting her, because I was just I don't distrust people that I'm close with. I just assume they're telling me the truth, which is a mistake, and I had to learn quickly about how this works in Big Brother. Because I was just okay, I'm not gonna look for suspicious details. I'm not doing that.
Absolutely.
So it was just too early. I mean, within another week, I would have definitely figured out something. And pretty soon as soon as I knew, They were two different girls.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't wait for Julia to come in and be herself because I couldn't. And that was the thing that was awkward for me when Julia was in the house and not Liz, is because it's like, okay, I'm trying to talk to her, but like she's not being herself and it sucks, and I just feel bad for her. And it's like, okay, I should go talk to other people when she's in the house because maybe I can help us connect with her. So I was always thinking how I can help both of them. And I know Julia felt offended by it a little bit, but I wasn't trying to do that. I was always thinking on a bigger scale, like how can I help these girls get in the house? That was my goal. Let me get them in the house and then we can run this thing.
Was that a part of did you realize right away like that strategy would be a really awesome strategy, that you would be insulated by two people essentially? When did that click in your head? Like, oh, this is going to be awesome.
Oh, right when I knew that they were twins, I knew that the potential was A, this is going to be really difficult to get them both in the house, but B, if we can all make jury and we're as close as I think we should be, like that's going to scare people. Yeah. And it was going to scare people from wanting to eliminate one of us, because it's not like a showmance where if you put one up, you can eliminate it. Like it's a weird triumvirate, like Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus. It's like something unheard of. So as long as we don't stab each other in the back, we could take this thing pretty far, and then eventually one of us will have to win or get to the finals, and that which happens.
Okay. I might want to ask this question later, but I'm gonna go ahead and ask it now since we're talking about Julia. How quickly were you willing to cut Julia?
I never wanted to cut Julia.
Like not at all. I mean, obviously to save you and Liz. I mean, like Julia was never a bargaining chip to get you and Liz farther.
No, and that's the thing that all got misconstrued when I almost got screwed week 5 with Jason, is I was trying to bring him in because Liz really liked him and we had talked about bringing him in, and we were trying to get away from Vanessa because I was like she's being weird. So I was like, okay, I think he knows you guys are here, so if I go and I give him some information about it and then I let him know that I'm not Clay, that I'm willing to be smart about the game and work with him, he will trust. I was trying to game move him into trusting him, and I was like, yeah, like I understand if you guys are going to want to take one of them out, I get it. I can only protect them so long, and that's what I ended up saying a lot towards the end anyway. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, how can I maximize keeping me and those twins in here as long as possible?
Of course,
because I never want to lose them, and I knew if we were final 3, they were going to take each other. I didn't care. That's so far down the road. It's like I have two people that we should never go against each other, and I never want to go against. So I know that thing got misconstrued a lot, but I mean, I never had any intention of going against her. There's just no need at that point. There was no need.
Well, no, especially not at the point where she initially enters. You know,
no,
it's too hard work. But at any point in time, okay. So with the Jason stuff, offering her as a potential sacrificial lamb, which basically you can't tell the dude, I'm gonna protect both of them at all costs. So you got to give something up.
I was like, I got to give something up that makes sense to him. Like he's gonna think I'm just playing him if I'm like,
Gotcha.
So that was my idea, and I didn't think it through that he was the loudmouth in the house, because he had hit me with that veto speech where he was like, "This means so much to me, and it means a lot to me." And I was like, "Oh, I think we can connect on this." Yeah. So I really thought that we could work together, and that me saying that would bring him in close enough to me where he wouldn't go and do what he did.
Jason talked too much?
He talked too much, and the thing is like that really could have screwed me. But Liz had my back on that a lot. And it saved me. Like it really did, because she could have just believed that too and then gone against me, but she knew what kind of person I was really. So and then that also hurt me though with Julia the rest of the game, because Vanessa was always able to manipulate her a little bit because of that.
Yes.
Which makes sense, because you just don't know what's true in the house.
Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And like Vanessa and Julia Vanessa had her hooks into Julia more than you did, or even Liz at some point, as far as information that she would buy and believe. I think that Julia always felt like Vanessa may have told her the truth, and Liz was telling her Austin's truth. It's kind of how I felt the information got perceived.
I don't know if
absolutely.
Did they show like Liz? When Julia left the house that day, I don't know, because the feeds are not on that day. I don't know if they show this on the show, but she brought Johnny Mac into the parlor room, and she told him, and I don't know if this has ever made the show, but this is right before Julia's eviction. Julia brought Johnny Mac into the parlor room alone and said, "Hey, I got played by Vanessa. Do not trust her. I'm not telling Austin and Liz that I'm having this conversation with you, but do not trust Vanessa." That was the last thing she said before she left the house.
Whoa. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
Super interesting.
Right. So she was she knew before she left that she got screwed. But anyway, I digress.
Okay. Well, hey, that's interesting. Okay, good. That's cool. I'm gonna make a note of that so I can talk to her about it. We kind of skipped ahead just a little bit talking about at the point where with Jason and all that kind of shit that falls in your lap.
Yeah.
Weeks. I guess it's weeks. Is that week 5 or 6?
5. That's 5.
Yeah, 5. Okay, yeah. All right. Well, during week 3, it's the Gronk stuff. This is your first HOH, and you're gonna get dethroned. Your noms, Jason and Meg, are going to win Battle of the Block. Johnny Mac's going to end up winning the Power of Veto, and it's going to keep Vanessa's. It's going to make Vanessa's noms James and Jeff. Jeff being the backdoor leaving. There's a lot of backdoor and a lot of like plan to throw the Battle of the Block to get noms set. We didn't really talk about your opinion of Battle of the Block as a super fan. How do you feel about Battle of the Block, and what did you think when you heard you're going to be in a Battle of the Block season?
I hated it because 4 people are being nominated every week, not 2. It sucks, and it changes the way everyone plays the game because now everyone has backdoor targets instead of front door targets, and it ramps up the gameplay, it ramps up the conspiracy talk, it ramps up the paranoia. It made it hell in there. I don't like it. I think it ruins the fluidity of a normal game. But at the same time, if I was in a situation where I needed it, maybe it's not so bad. Yeah. So I can see both. I can see both, and. In the house, though, it makes you feel very uneasy. So I can't believe I lasted as long as I did without being nominated with all those Battle of the Blocks.
Well, no, absolutely, dude, absolutely. And trust me, I mentioned that several fucking times.
Yeah.
The thing when Julie Chen said we're bringing back a fan favorite, I thought she was going to say MVP would have been acceptable. You know, it would have been fun to see an MVP play out during this season with, with the cast that it had, because. It would have been. I don't know. I think it would have been interesting.
I probably would have been out pretty quick.
Well, you may have hated it, Austin, but anyway, I think the MVP is a cooler twist than Battle of the Block.
Pretty much most of the twists that Big Brother's ever come out with is better than Battle of the Block. And most everyone will say that, I think.
Yeah. And the comps are cool, I guess, but like other than that's the only thing that's cool about
absolutely.
it.
Okay,
it's cool to look at.
Let's talk briefly about Jeff being set up to be on the block. Basically.
Wait. Before that, Spencer, I think like this is the point where is this the first point where like Vanessa starts to be like, well, I'm thinking about you as your back door or whatever. Is this the
No.
Okay.
No. She's got Shelly and then her choice.
Okay.
No, but it didn't happen yet.
Jeff, talk about this. Talk about Jeff getting called out.
Yeah.
Your part in this, and take us home, Austin.
Here's the thing, because I don't know what was actually going on with everyone, but I heard from Clay all week, hey, Jeff is throwing your name under the bus. Jeff is doing this, that. And I was trusting Clay because we created that Sixth Sense alliance. I'm going to ride with Clay on this. I caught Jeff kind of talking back and forth with things, but then me and Jeff caught Clay talking back and forth with things too. So I was like, okay, I kind of trust Jeff. And he wanted to bring me and Vanessa into this alliance that he had. But then it never happened. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. Where does this guy stand? I have so much fun with him. We do the Jeff and Austin podcast. It's fun. He brings out that bro side of me from, being, a wrestler and stuff, which, I don't necessarily want to broadcast, but it's fun sometimes. It's like, he's funny. I find him humorous, and it was fun. It was fun to hang out with. But when it came down to that time, like James was on the block and Johnny Mac had won that veto because I threw it to him. And then Vanessa chewed me out about throwing it to him. Because I had told her I wouldn't, and I honestly forgot telling her I wouldn't.
No,
like,
This was that time. This is the time where you're like, no, I swear, like.
This is the when she's
I admitted to her.
Veto,
Yeah, you had to admit because she was running you down. She was like.
I didn't think it was a big deal. I was like, this is.
Well, no, that's the first time I felt the fear. That's the first time where I was like, oh my god, this person might be very scary to play with.
Were you scared to lie to her? Were you scared to lie to Vanessa? Did you really think she could tell when you were lying?
No, she couldn't tell when I was lying. But she would catch me in a lie because she would get information from other people. So I knew if I was telling other people one thing, I had to tell her that too. That's how she would catch me. But she couldn't catch me lying.
Dude, she was a master at getting information from people, holding on to it and using it.
And she could catch me in lies. That's why she always was like, she knew I was the only one that could, on her level of thinking.
Dude, you're the only one that could sway her. There's other people that like Shelly had some control at some points in time, and even I think Julie and her would kind of go back and forth on a few things, and Steve could talk some sense to her. But I think that you were like when we get to the week 5.
Yeah,
I mean, you were fucking toast.
Yeah, I know.
You were toast.
But ultimately with Jeff, what ended up happening is it was time to put someone up, and she's like, and Vanessa's saying, hey, I might just go with taking out James right here. And I didn't want her to do that. I felt that me and James could eventually kind of start working together. I don't know. I like James. And
so you were willing to like try to throw Jeff under the bus, somebody you kind of trusted, kind of liked for
here's what happened.
James down the road?
Yeah, because here's what happened. Like Clay came to me that day and said, hey, Jeff's in the backyard saying Austin's got to go next week. This has been a setup all week not to get Audrey out. So they all thought we were going to take Audrey out. And then all of a sudden, Vanessa's not going to take Audrey out. We were never going to take Audrey out. But now they think we're in on this setup. And Jeff is out there just running his mouth about it. And I'm like, okay, Vanessa, I'm sick of this. He was harassing Liz about the twin thing all week and stuff. At least that's how I was perceiving it. And I was like, I need to protect her. I need her and Julia to come into the house and work with me and not him because he will try to ask me to work with them. And it was just like, this needs to be a game move for me to get him out. So she's like, well, you better go start something because I need a reason to put him up. I can't just put him up. I need reasons. Even though she wanted him out kind of too. So I was like, all right, Clay, you guys going to have my back on this? And they're like, yeah. So I'm going to go downstairs in front of Shelly and Clay and call them out. And they're supposed to have my back. And I'm like, hey, Jeff, didn't you? He's like, well, at first I was like, hey, did you throw my name under the bus? And he goes, no. I'm like, who did? James. I'm like, okay. So I was like, well, did you tell me that we can't work with Clay until Shelly is out? And he goes, no. And of course he had just told me that. And now this is when, and Clay and Shelly know that. So I'm like looking at Clay and Shelly going, okay. And they say nothing. They're saying nothing. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. So I step back and Vanessa's in the parlor room for some reason. And then I'm like, Vanessa, I need your help on this. She comes out and she gets right into Jeff's face. And
the big dogs.
Sealed your fate, Jeff. And then it was it. And that was it. Once she was angry at Jeff, goodbye. And I didn't do it. But I almost got screwed in that situation too. I was like, geez, guys, why you were supposed to have my back? You told me to do this. Clay and Shelly told me to do this. I'm like, I would never have done it. I was like, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted her to put up who she wanted to put up. I didn't who cares about reasons? Just do it.
It was definitely an awesome scene to watch. And it was awesome to see you guys kind of like have this weird coordinated attack. Like people are coming in. It was beautiful to watch.
Okay.
Did you have any plan to get rid of Jeff so that you could work with Jackie?
I actually did want to work with Jackie, but I wanted to work with Jeff and Jackie when they were together. And I knew once I went for Jeff, I probably couldn't repair that relationship.
Okay.
But I actually always liked Jackie. I wanted to work with her. I trusted her. We kind of have similar backgrounds in performance and stuff, and we always had good conversation. And I always was telling her, hey, look, I don't want to go against you. And it wasn't until like later on with her, Meg, and James that we maybe were going to be able to form that brass tacks thing. But for those first few weeks, she just didn't want to work with me, and I don't know why. I mean, Shelly didn't trust me either, which I don't get either. Like I was like totally playing an honest game at that point.
Yeah. Before Jeff left, the night before, he and Jackie had a conversation in the bathroom about that, thinking that you were just trying to get him out to work with her, and that she was going to like play you and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, I just want to know if there was any potential plan to work with her, and interesting that there may have been.
Yeah, no, I would have wanted to, but at that point, I wanted to work with anybody and everybody to keep me and the twins safe. Like that was my thought. Like, well, who can I get on our side not to come after us? Because it's such a big thing to be hiding right now.
Sure.
So I was trying to, anyone that wasn't going to be a target needed to be worked with, I thought. Like,
Sure. No, okay. No, absolutely. Yeah. And you got to a point in the game where you had pretty much deals with everybody. So, okay, we get to week 4. We'll buzz through it. Liz's HOH and Shelly, Jackie and James are going to win the Battle of the Block, which is Liz's nominees. Jason and John are going to be the nominees. Power Veto is going to go to Vanessa, and it's going to be used on Jason. So Audrey is up, and Audrey is going to go home this week. Tell us about Audrey's week, because this was crazy to watch.
It was crazy. I was there when it all started. I was in the backyard with Clay when the first fight happened. That sent Clay up to the HOH room, then sent Audrey up, Shelly up, Vanessa up, all the blow-ups. Then we had the group meeting. And I was like, oh, this is not good. Why are we giving them what they want? If everyone wants someone out, why are we doing it when we're in power? Like, you don't give them what they want. You take out one of them and you keep the ball rolling and deal with Audrey later. So I just thought it was a terrible move. But I was like, I'm happy I'm safe. But it set me up to get screwed the next week because Audrey was no longer the target for if one of the people we don't want to win HOH wins HOH. Because they all wanted her out. So, hey, you guys do it. You guys can't win a damn HOH. You get rid of her. I thought taking Audrey out was a huge mistake that almost cost me the game, and I think it cost Shelly and Clay the game. Ultimately.
Am I crazy? Did you throw a hinky vote this week?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah.
And that almost came back to bite. Oh, my God. That almost
yes, I know. That's what I thought. I was about to say.
The reason for that, too, was I was thinking, okay, well, we're losing this crazy Audrey figure that we thought was America's player. So if I can throw that vote out, because I know no one else is going to do it this week. If I can throw that vote out, then they're going to think, oh, shit, we got rid of the wrong person. There's still America's player in here. We can pin it on someone like Steve. At this point, I'm not close enough to him where it's like, I got to protect me and the twins if a Jackie's HOH. That's all I'm thinking. So I'm like, this is a perfect way for me to, and I just brought Jason in, I thought. So I'm like, okay, so I'm good with him and his friends. Now I just got to leave this one little vote. I had this whole plan to keep them safe because it was one more week and they were both in the house. So I was trying to do every little detail to get them in the house. That's all I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay. I love Hinky vote. I think that people were calling it the Judas vote, if I remember.
Probably.
Correctly.
Sure.
I think it maybe could be
the
renamed.
one time I did it. That is the Judas vote.
But dude, I tell you,
I never went against Audrey.
You're sweating that shit. Yeah, you can always say, yeah, I never went against Audrey. Okay. Week 5 is going to be fucked up for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Jackie and Vanessa are going to win HOH. Battle of the Block. Okay, this is when Liz gets nominated. So James and Liz are going to win the Battle of the Block, leaving the nominations Becky and Clay. Clay's going to win the veto, leaving spot next to Becky up. This is the one you almost filled. You were in a lot of trouble this week. I want to go through your tactics to stay. What's your thoughts when Liz was nominated originally? Just kind of go through this week as far as like a speed bump in your game. Because week 5 was definitely one of your, would you say this is your first major struggle in the game?
Yeah, I think it's my big flaw. My big fatal flaw week was that week. Besides my eviction week. Actually, I could probably point to flaws in every week, of course, right? But no, this was it. Yeah, and the thing with this week too is when Liz went up on the block, they were telling me one thing. Obviously, they had a blindside plan for me that I didn't know about, but I was scared for her right away. I was just like, okay, they're not going after Steve this week. This is not happening. So I was like, you just got to win that battle of the block. We got to get you off there. Keep Vanessa in power because I trusted her. And that's when she asked me those questions about the conversation with Jason. And I didn't give her the full truth. I didn't lie to her. I just didn't tell her the full truth. And it was the reason I didn't is because it was like, this is my thing. And like, I didn't want to tell her. And I didn't know Jason had gone and told her. And for some reason in my gut, I didn't want to tell her. And I've always had this thing where I can never be fully honest with her. I don't know why. I was supposed to trust her. I always could be fully honest with Liz, but I could never be fully honest with her. And it was something internal that just told me not to. And eventually it came out that, obviously she's thinking I'm doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But I kind of sensed that.
Was it just a gut thing you couldn't trust her, or it's just you purposefully withheld information?
It was a gut thing. I just didn't want to tell her at the time. I was thinking she's going to get mad at me. And I was thinking back to the other week where she yelled at me about the Johnny Mac thing and the, throwing the veto to him. Like when went ape shit, I'm like, oh shit, she's going to go ape shit that I did this. I'm just going to keep it to myself. That's all I was thinking. I was like, oh, I don't want to get yelled at again.
Dude,
but I thought we were friends. So I was like, okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I just don't want to get yelled at again. So I'm just going to keep this because it was harmless. It had nothing to do with her. Mm-hmm. It wasn't going to hurt her. It was just to help the girls get in the game for the Sixth Sense thing. Like that was all. It was like a harmless play that almost got twisted in some crazy shit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, this is where you were talking about how you started to fall in love with Liz and this kind of stuff. I would like to talk about that. Really helped you appealing to the emotional side. Will you please talk about that as whether or not it was conscious strategy, whether it was Hail Mary, or whether it was just like like just put it out there as a fucking romantic guy.
Well, a little bit of all of it, actually. I mean, I knew
I was going to say pussy, but then I was like, I'll say romantic guy. Sorry. Like, that's why I wrote romantic guy. Didn't make any sense. But
that's the route I go sometimes in life to get my point across. But I was just like, I was so desperate to show them that I'm not lying to them, that I'm just going to open up my soul right now and tell them everything about me ever. And I know that Vanessa is a strategist and it's not smart to take me out this week, so I can appeal to her. If I can just get her to realize I'm just an idiot that made a mistake. Yeah. And then with Shelly and Clay, I know Shelly is an emotional person. She's tied to Clay right now, and she doesn't want to be the only showmance in that house. That's a huge target. So if she realizes that I'm trying to make this a showmance with Liz, that I'm falling for this girl, which I was. I wouldn't say I was in love with her yet. That was still going to progress over time, but I was just going to say everything at that moment that my heart was potentially going to feel because I wanted her to know how much it meant to me to stay. And it did mean a lot to stay because if I left that week, I would never have developed a relationship with Liz. It would have just been bad all around for me. Yeah. So, and I knew I could develop it because I had a sense that like I had to kind of court her and win her over, but I knew I could. And I'm not like some guy that gets that feeling a lot with girls. It's the fact that I had that feeling inside, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with this one because that never really happens to me. But I just had a sense that this was going to work for me if I stayed in the house. If I left, it would have been a regret everything. So I was just going to say everything I needed to say. It was all pretty much true, and it's all turned out to be true. And then I was willing to do whatever they wanted.
What are you lying about?
Well, if I was already in love, I guess if I was like already in love with Liz or not.
The intensity.
Yeah, the intensity of it. I definitely wasn't ready for that yet.
Had y'all kissed at this point? I don't think so. Had you?
We did one kiss. That's the kiss that I stole.
The grab face, the face grab kiss. Okay,
no, not
okay.
that one outside.
That counts.
Okay, that counts.
Oh, you had.
No, there was one in the bedroom, in the comic room, that we were kind of fooling around, and then I kissed her, and then she got mad at me for doing it because she wasn't ready to kiss me yet. But I knew that.
Trust me, I remember seeing it. That was almost turned over to the LAPD. Oh, she didn't want to kiss him.
Oh God, we were playing around.
I know.
But that was me too, trying to feel her out to see how much she's. Is she this girl playing me a little bit?
Sure.
Is it cat and mouse? Or is she just playing hard to get? Does she want me to play hard to get? I was kind of just messing around, having fun. It was just a fun thing. That was progressing more and more for both of us, and I knew that, and I knew, despite what she might have been saying, like she was starting to feel it too, and ultimately she was, and I thought that was a fun moment at that point.
No, absolutely, and the reason that I ask is just because with basically your plea of I'm in love with this girl, they could have gone to her and said, "Is this guy creeping you the fuck out?" But she didn't. I mean, there was none of that. So like, it's one of those things where it was a. Even though it might not have been something y'all discussed or even brought up around her, boyfriend, girlfriend, in love with you, this kind of stuff, it worked. And it was a position where when I don't know, somebody out there will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I don't know if anybody ever asked how you made her feel, because I think it was pretty obvious. Does that make sense? So, because it seems like a very obvious question to ask if there's any being comfortable, or is this true? Is this guy, blah, blah, blah. So that's really cool that you were able to go with that, and it did evolve into those emotions. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People don't see, they see what they see out of the camera lens, which is only capturing a moment here and there. They don't see all day. We're 24/7. You don't see when the cameras are off. You don't see on Thursdays. There's a lot of things, the comps. There's a lot of other time we spent together people don't see, and I'm not an idiot. I'm 30 years old. I've done my first rodeo. I know what was going on in the relationship, and she does too.
Like you're seeing a two-dimensional. You're seeing it flat. You're seeing everything flat. You don't see these eye glances between two people ever. Like
exactly.
People out there, they think oh, I know the true intention of everyone, but those little moments, what's in the ether of everything,
micro expressions.
You can't see that stuff.
Those things that people can't see it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're connected on that. There's connection between us. There's energy that the rest of the house started to see too. And that's something you can't feel looking at camera. I mean, unless you really are perceptive and open to it. Yeah. But it was, I was happy with everything, the way it was going between me and her. So.
Well, it's a good thing you went for that. Did you have any other any other strategy, any other attempt to stay? I mean,
yes.
What was your other thing?
I talked about this with Vanessa. If I ever needed to make a last-ditch effort, was to go out in the backyard and injure myself, pretend working out.
I thought you were going to do that. I thought
probably would not have worked under her HOH with her trying to backdoor you. But my leg.
No, well, her whole thing was she might have had to put me up, but then she would hope that I could get myself to stay.
Got you.
But that wasn't going to happen. Even if I was injured, probably. So I needed to get off the block, and I was able to do that with the pleas. And then she just realized, I shouldn't get rid of Austin at this point. He's probably helping me, which I was.
Yeah. No, okay. Well, you've skated through that week. Liz is still in the house, and we're going into week 6 where Battle of the Block ends. Week 6 is a big week.
Yeah.
Big time week. Okay. She's in now, or she comes in next week?
She comes in. That's it.
She comes in, yeah. Okay. And this is kind of cool because we got James' HOH. He's going to nominate Clay and Shelley. Interestingly enough, a big dangerous showmance that doesn't have anybody's sister coming into it, but they're going to get nominated. He's going to win the veto, having all the power. And James wanted Clay to stay so he could work with Clay. Okay, Vanessa, what's that?
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay, you didn't know that? Okay, no,
I kind of knew that.
Yeah, okay. Vanessa needed Clay to leave and wanted Shelley to stay, so that's why that blow up and there's Johnny Mac involved with what Clay said and all that shit was basically so that Clay would go home and James would want him to. That's why James and him got into it, blah, blah, blah. It's because he had to go. I mean, Vanessa controlled James's HOH, ultimately.
There's stuff missing on that Thursday, and I don't know what you guys saw earlier in that day, but what ended up happening was I went into the parlor room with Meg, James, and Jackie and said, look, me and the twins are going to vote the other way. We're going to keep Shelley. Clay came to me in the middle of the night crying. We had an emotional hour cry. That really never happened. But I just can't do it. I can't. He wants to go. I can't make someone stay in this game. The game means. I said all that stuff to them. I don't want to mess you up, James. I'm working with you guys. I promise you. And I really wanted to. I was being honest. And I wanted to do what they wanted, but I knew that Clay had to go. So we said that, and as soon as we said that, Meg and Jackie said they're flipping their vote because we wanted to all vote together. Before that fight happened with Vanessa, it was already done. Clay was already going. That fight was so unnecessary. It was so unnecessary. It did nothing at all, I thought.
Well, and I want to point out something right now, too, because a lot of people say, oh, Austin and the twins played Vanessa's game. That's what you're always going to hear when there's like one person that's seen as the loudmouth or whatever the case may be.
I don't think we did at all.
No, y'all played in tandem because what was good for her was good for you for so long. I mean, there's weeks that she tried to do different shit and maybe, vice versa. But for the most part, what was good for her week to week was also good for you. So that's playing the smart game. That's not playing anybody's game.
And it was like the freaking Scamper Squad Alliance. We were all like, we were final 5 out of 6. So the point is that, we were final 6. We made it that far. So the point is that whatever she did, whatever I did, it worked for all of us. We were working together, obviously. So what was good for her, I wanted to help her. What was good for me, she was supposed to want to help me. Steve was kind of a tag along in that a lot of the time.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was really me, Vanessa, trying to work with the girls.
Now, you said, we talked about this a little bit before on the phone, but Steve was not necessarily at the bottom.
Not necessarily.
He just kind of happened to be because it was you and the twins, and then there was Vanessa, and Steve but like his input was respected on even with everybody else. Is that what you're saying, basically?
Yeah, but he wouldn't give us a lot of input, which put him at the bottom. I always wanted to hear more from him, to let him, if he would have worked with me harder, I would have wanted to make the kind of similar deal I had with Vanessa with him, because Vanessa would talk nonstop. Steve would rarely talk, so you always would, when someone's not talking, you start spinning your wheels. What are they talking about with other people?
Exactly.
So I was always unsure. But when all that stuff started happening with the Becky and the cereal and all that with Vanessa, and we're learning all this stuff about her, my thought was, gee, Steve might be a better fourth for us than Vanessa. So I was ready to cut Vanessa at that point and work with Steve until me and Vanessa kind of worked it out. And because we each had our moment against each other. But Steve was never like necessarily the fifth. He was always the fourth. But so was kind of Vanessa with the three of us. Like, we were a threesome.
You were a threesome. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the other two were interchangeable. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, interesting. Let's say, please talk to me about Steve's social game at this point. Like you said, he's in an alliance with you, but he doesn't share information with you. So, what's he doing? Where is he at? Describe Steve's game up until this point. And this is, like, we'll just say that Clay's already gone, and so we're in week 7.
I have no idea where Steve's at, really. I'm praying he's with us, but I'm not positive. Me and him are kind of doing our little thing where, like, he's always like, bullying me more in public. And then we go, okay. And then I go and I do it. And it's, and people think, oh, Austin and Steve. If Steve ever wins HOH, man, he's going right after Austin. And I knew, I was pretty confident that he won it. I was pretty confident that he wanted to keep this we call it the Freaks and Geeks. He wanted to keep that thing rolling with us. And when he won that HOH in the double eviction, that's exactly what he did, which was awesome. But then of course he held on to that, saying, look what I did for you guys, look what I did, this is why you can trust me. Eventually he, went against us, but we had made it pretty far at that point.
But that was a good sign of trust. I mean, he very easily, and dude, the whole world was like, what in the fuck?
Yeah,
dude, it was
because I guess they didn't play up our relationship, I guess. No, like that me and Steve had this relationship.
No, but like, okay, you got to imagine that at this time in the game, that like, people, this is the good guys versus bad guys thing, and Steve's got some power. Of course, he's going to help James and Meg get further. Like, this is the point of the game that we're at, okay, from the outside point of view. So people did not know that Steve was a loyal member and going to protect his Freaks and Geeks Camper Squad Alliance. So
he was a part of the evil empire.
He was, absolutely. I mean, he absolutely was.
That's great.
But okay, let's this is week 7. It's kind of Becky's I told you so week. Week 7 is an interesting week. Noms are going to be Shelly and Steve after Becky wins this HOH. Steve's going to win the veto, and Vanessa's going to end up on the block. Okay.
Crazy.
Now, you've talked about just seconds ago that Steve would be a fine 4th to your 3, interchangeably with Vanessa. You've got Shelly, who doesn't have a showmance, but it's pretty well liked, and y'all have a working relationship with her. Plus, in my estimate, with Vanessa gone, the twins could have just double teamed her and pulled her in. And because Shelly didn't know this game. Shelly didn't know this game. I mean, like it would have been, still Austin at the controls, but you could have 3 at that point. But anyway, let's talk about because this whole thing was like, Becky was like, will y'all help me get her out? Absolutely, we'll do it 100%. And then it totally blew up in her face.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
As soon as because Becky pulled me up into the HOH room 5 minutes before the replacement nominee and said, Austin, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm putting Vanessa up. And I went, oh, shit. The world's about to explode. Wow. This is going to be, I want to watch this. But like, I was devastated for Vanessa. At that point, I was working with her hard. I was trusting her and everything. And I didn't think that there was an issue, and I was upset about it. And I was closer to her than Shelly. But I was as soon as she went up and the way she started crying and handling it, I went outside with the girls and like, look, I think Shelly's probably better for us to stay. Let's just start talking to her and work with her. We were ready to go with Shelly. It was all booked. And then all of a sudden, Vanessa gets out of bed and she says a few things to James in that parlor room. Then James comes out to me at the hammock and goes, look, Austin, maybe we should keep Vanessa. Like, I wanted to get rid of Shelly. And, you know, at that point, I'm like trying to establish trust with James, Meg, and Jackie as the other trio. So I'm like, okay, maybe we should all do this together. And I was thinking two things. I could save Vanessa now, she's going to owe me. And also at the same time, James, Meg, and Jackie are going to work with me now going forward. And we can make the brass tacks thing happen. Because this week is when me and James started to hit it really good. We were clicking socially. And so was Meg. And then Jackie and me were finally talking and having fun. And we were all having fun together. And I'm like, damn, we can do this whole social alliance of 6 people, brass tacks, and get it done. I guess this is right before Jackie went out on the double eviction.
Okay.
I think
of course.
Yeah, that's how.
Yeah. No, it is. Okay, so basically, keeping Vanessa was the olive branch to the other side.
It was that, and it was also helping my alliance because I was loyal to her still. I thought
sure.
You know, she didn't put me up that week 5 even after everything happened. We squashed our stuff. She's a great competitor. And Shelly, you know, she sold me out in that room. She told James to put me up, and she said all the Judas stuff, and I had to damage control that, which pissed me off. So it was just like, I was angry about that still, and I know that Shelly in her weakest moment will always throw everyone under the bus. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what Vanessa would do in that situation just yet, and this was a moment on the block. So I wanted to save her. But you know, in hindsight, it doesn't matter. She would have won that jury return comp. So she would have been back in the house. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, of course you're right. You're right. Yeah. Let's get through that. So Shelly's going to go. This week 7 sets the tone for the rest of the game because of where Vanessa's going to be. Because Steve wins his next HOH. Jackie and Meg go up. John's going to win the veto. Jackie goes home. Not a lot to talk about there. We already kind of briefly skimmed over it, but that happened.
Was there anything that happened like during the commercial breaks or anything? Was there a lot from what we saw? There was no talking, and there was really no talking because Steve was like, "I know what I'm going to do." Yeah. And which is super surprising, but at the same time, where was everyone else? Where was James and Jackie? Why weren't Steve? Steve did tell James you're good. He told him that you're good, and then I was like, uh-oh, what's Steve doing? And then he took out Jackie, and I still don't necessarily know exactly why Jackie was the main target, not James at that point. If he was going to take out their side, James seemed to be the leader of that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure necessarily if he was trying. We all thought he was maybe had to deal with James. We thought that was the thing, but. He took out Jackie, and that kind of Did he tell you guys go after Jackie or just No.
Where was there any Jackie talk beforehand? Jackie needs to go. Jackie's a target.
There was no talk with what Steve was going to do. I had no clue what Steve was going to do when he won that HOH. I knew I was confident he wasn't going to put me up. I was confident that.
In your estimate, there's no good person on the other side to have gone for. Do you think he was just too scared to go? I know you said you thought he had a deal with James, but I guess
he might have been scared. He might have been scared to go after James, and I don't think he would have let Johnny Mac use the veto to backdoor James because it would have made it obviously they're working together. So I think he just let it ride, and then Jackie went, which was a strong competitor. So it was not a lost. If we were on separate sides, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? But I don't think at that point we were really on separate sides for sure going forward. It could have been different. Could have been real different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, that's no longer an option going into week 8. Liz is going to win HOH, which is going to help you all rest easy. Becky and John are getting nominated. Liz is also going to win the veto. It's going to be Becky versus John on the block and send Becky home. She obviously wanted to go after Vanessa. Talk about Vanessa's influence this week. Talk about how Liz came up with the noms and...
Honestly, this is not we weren't trying to save Vanessa with this. Liz was always kind of scared of Becky. She was the other strong female competitor. And we thought we had to get rid of her because she kept coming up to us telling us, oh, my team is Megan James now. My team is Megan James. My team. I'm like, well, where do we stand with that team? Shit.
Yeah.
So she kept on giving information that she didn't need to. And then Megan James were willing to cut her kind of when we talked to them. And we're like, okay, we definitely don't want to go after Megan James right now because we want to work with them. We're not going to go after Vanessa. Johnny Mac still seems like kind of a waste to go after because we don't see him doing anything in the house. And then we're not going after Steve. Basically, Becky was our only literal option that we wanted to go after. So, and it was like, and I felt bad about it because I liked Becky, but I was like, she wasn't close enough to us at that point. Yeah. So, I don't think, and people say that was Vanessa's move. We would have done that regardless. If Vanessa had gone home the week before, we probably would have done that. That was a move we were thinking about. That was a move Liz always was thinking about.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think that was her own move. And I said, what do you want? We talked, me and Liz always made decisions together. And I said, what does your gut tell you? She's like, I want to get rid of Becky. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So let's go for it. And then we did.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, you do. Becky was extremely tough competitor. She wouldn't make deals like when Vanessa tried to work, and make a deal with her. Of course, Becky was through with deals, no deals, that kind of thing. I mean, she's somebody, honestly, if Becky and James had gotten together strategically and gotten any kind of control, I think those would have been two of the hardest people to have dealt with in the house.
Sure.
Because they kind of got that, like they got their plan, they're focused or whatever. Things could change, but I think, like I said, they would have been pretty tough. So good thing to get Becky out that week for y'all. Mm-hmm. Going into next week, you're going to control the house again. You're going to win HOH. This is a weird HOH. Were y'all expecting the buyback? Were you expecting the jury to return? Like you knew it was going to be this week. So your HOH effectively, which I didn't know that you necessarily had to win it. The racing one, what was it called on your market set?
Ready, set, whoa.
Whoa,
Ready,
whatever.
Set,
yeah. Okay.
I didn't have to win it, but
that was a cool comp. That was an awesome comp, by the way.
It was a cool comp, and it was a comp I could win, and I can't win many comps. So I'm like, if I can win one, I better just win it.
Well, dude, your gate is so much longer than James. James had to take he was like Mega Man,
He almost beat me.
Yeah, he did almost beat. He's moved those legs quick, bro.
And that was the thing too. Is like, honestly, I wanted Johnny Mac to win that one. Because he was the guy that would have gone, I wanted Johnny Mac to win because I think he would have gone after Megan James and done something I couldn't do because I really wanted to work with Megan James. And it's almost like I was in a position where I should sit back and let the other sides battle it out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But I was always scared of James because of one thing. He went back on that deal with Clay and Shelley in front of people, and it always was in my mind, what if he just decides to take another big move and take me and Liz out? If his plans fall through, I was always a little cautious, even though I loved him and wanted to work with him. I was always a little scared because I know he likes to make big moves. So when it was down to me and him, I had to go for it. And Liz is looking at me like, I want the room, Austin. I want the room. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. You go get it, baby. You go get it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, I'll do it. But honestly, I wanted Johnny Mac to win. And that's when he hurt his glute from our workout the day before, which was funny. Because we did 10 sets of heavy squats. And we thought it was going to be an intellectual comp. And the next thing you know is this. And I'm fine because I always do that. But he was all gung-ho to do the workout because he was starting to do all my workouts with me. It was pretty fun.
Stupid that I want to hear about.
Yeah.
Just because it fucking boggles my mind that people honestly think that you were gonna try to work out Johnny Mac to seriously injure him for competitions. I'm sorry, Deb. I love you to death, but that is fucking bonkers. You cannot.
Well, if you. Well, what happened was it was really funny that he tore he strained his glute because of our workout.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, look, that's my strategy. I worked out.
Exactly.
It was a joke though. Every time I was out there with him, I said, hey man, stop right there. That's too much. You're gonna be sore. I always would stop him. I'd correct his form like crazy, and I got him jacked.
Yeah.
And he started performing better because of my workouts.
Yeah.
So it didn't hurt him at all. I was trying to work. I liked working out with him. It was fun to work out. I needed a workout partner. I'm not trying to hurt the guy.
Absolutely.
I didn't need to hurt the guy because I was always kind of working with him.
Yeah.
And I needed him to win HOH that week.
And I honestly don't think that you would ever try to maliciously go out of your way to seriously injure a competitor just to
That's
do
ridiculous.
better by bonkers. Yeah. I just want to get it out there and just say that's fucking insanity. I sat and had to defend you constantly on Twitter.
And for what it's worth, if somebody's willing to work out to the point that they do get hurt, fuck them. It's fair and big brother. So
absolutely,
it wasn't too smart of him to do a new exercise, extreme 2 days before a comp, but he wanted to do it. I didn't make him do it. I was like, dude, you're gonna be pretty sore. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to do it. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Yeah. But I was like, that week was been great if he won HOH because he could have done my work that I didn't want to do. Yeah. So I was definitely not trying to hurt the guy.
Okay. Well, you're going to nominate he and Steve. And Steve did not want to go on the block. He did not want to go next to John. Vanessa's going to win the veto, and Johnny Mac is going to go go this week, only if you return. Talk about damage control between Steve. We'll bleed into the next week because John's going to return. He's only gone out of the house about 20 minutes. But talk about damage control with Steve and John after your HOH. Because
Oh, I never really was worried about the Steve thing. My whole thing is that week is I could have flipped it and took Steve out, and if I wanted to switch it. So he owes me some money. No, because he would have fallen right off that jury return comp. But no, I mean, like the thing, it was so tough because I really didn't want to nominate Steve. I didn't want to nominate Megan James. I didn't want to nominate Vanessa. I didn't want to nominate Johnny Mac. I can't nominate the twins. I wanted to nominate myself, and they didn't let me. I asked if I could.
That would have been very Judas of you,
right? As long as Judas could stay in the game if Austin left.
Yeah.
But no, I really didn't want to put anyone up that week because it was the week I didn't want to win. So then I was like, okay, look, Johnny Mac's the last guy I've taught game with, so I'm going to try to target him in this situation because I didn't want to put Vanessa up front. I would have tried to backdoor her, if anything, because she's too dangerous on those vetoes. So I made nice with her, and I was going to hold to that most likely. But if Johnny Mac had won that veto, I might have put Vanessa up, and I might have gone for it right there and backdoored her, which would have come back to bite me because she would have returned, just like Johnny Mac returned. So that was the bad week to be it because no one wanted the person to return, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it ended up, ultimately you could say that Johnny Mac got his revenge, I guess, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that here in a minute. Yeah. Okay. So this next week, Vanessa is HOH. James and Meg are going to get nominated. James will win the veto.
Yeah.
Julia's going to go up. We'll talk about that here in a second. But Meg will ultimately go out, and Johnny Mac is back in the house after winning the competition. Okay. Julia going to the block. Tell us about that. Were you just glad it wasn't Liz or yourself?
No, this is actually one of my big mistakes is letting this happen because I thought what was happening here is Julia was saying, look, let's not put Steve up because we love Steve. So she offered herself up. However, it was a huge mistake because we thought that would bring Steve in loyal. I didn't realize that him, Johnny Mac, and Vanessa were already creating this thing together against us going forward. So
did you, Austin, wait, I got to ask one question because that really brings it out of me. Yeah. How could you not? Like the Oz twins, like we're down, like this is week 10 we're talking about. Like, are you aware that people are scared to attack y'all and they don't know how to approach it?
Yeah, but I didn't think that Johnny Mac would be involved in that. I thought he was still this ostracized kind of thing.
So you thought, honestly, you thought that he was playing so dumb and so distant that he wouldn't know to go after him?
He had me. That's why I thought he was like freaking Robert De Niro. I called him a taxi driver because he was coming in. I thought he was just going nuts, and I thought he was just doing whatever he wanted to do.
Let's
he
not
got
spoil Taxi Driver, all right? I haven't seen
it yet. I know.
Yet,
Sorry.
so
It's a great movie.
But it's not funny. A spoiler. It's not a spoiler. It's a comedy.
But that's why we would say that. It was funny. And it was like, he was great, man. Like, his game was really good. I didn't realize it.
That's awesome.
Like, you don't realize it when you're in the house because the way he approaches things, he's sleeping all day. He's not doing talks. He was really good, and I thought he was just coming after me. So when Vanessa didn't want to put him up, I'm like, okay, I should have read more into this. And then she offered the idea of Julia, but she wasn't going to do it unless we agreed to it, because she didn't know who was going to win HOH the next week. So I should have said, no, you put up Steve. Just do Steve, put up Steve, and then we could have flipped it and kept Meg and took out Steve. Which this is all hindsight, though. It's all
sure,
hindsight.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, Julia going up in that was a mistake, and it wasn't that we were trying to cut her. I would never have voted against her. It was supposed to be the sure play to eliminate Meg, which was something that we would have had to do anyway, coming up soon.
I want to say this, because I don't know if you've heard this yet, but Johnny Mac, when he's evicted, he tells Julie Chen, she goes, well, what if you get back in there? What are you gonna do? He's like, I'm going after Meg. Okay.
I heard that.
Okay, he wanted Meg gone, and hopefully I'm gonna ask him when we do his interview. But the only thing that we could really figure is that he wanted to be the GOAT. He wanted to be the one taken to the end, and he thought that Meg was the weakest player that would be taken to the end. So he wanted to eliminate her. Okay, that's what you probably. I'm gonna ask him because I'm dying to know that. It wasn't a bad plan because. It really could have happened. I mean, to a certain extent, he got obviously very far. So, he wanted Meg out. Why Meg? Why would three of the most powerful people in the game want to get? Where did Meg scare y'all?
She didn't scare me at all. I didn't want Meg.
No. I mean, why would you evict her? Like, where was she just not in your plan at all? It was just that was end of her game for y'all, and you could work with them.
No. What happened was that Vanessa was making it apparent that she wasn't going to make a move on the Steve Jenny Mac side of things, and that she wanted to secure that either Meg or James went home. And I'm thinking, I didn't want this to happen yet. I really wanted to get further with Meg and James, but I also don't want to be the person that goes against them because I like them so much and I don't want to hurt them. So if you're going to do it, well, then you're doing it. I don't get blood on my hands. So, okay, we'll take out one of them and just see what happens. But that was that moment in the game where my gut was saying, try to keep Meg and James safe as long as you can. And I couldn't do it anymore because Vanessa was HOH and I needed to go with her at that point because she has the power. She could flip it on me right now. And with her mind, you never know.
Absolutely.
So I was like, whatever you want. I was always trying to be accommodating to her. Whatever you want, whatever you need. Please don't get paranoid about me again.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, shit.
So that was tough waters at that point because that was when I was starting to lose interest in a lot of the day-to-day stress of the game. Well, just getting to you at that point.
In all honesty, like you talk about this being your game's mistake, not trying to drive it in, but if you're going to look at the next week where Steve's going to win HOH, you and Liz go on the block, you're going to win the power veto, and then it's going to be Liz versus Julia. And I mean, hats off to Steve for making that move. And in all honesty, looking at the kid, you know what I'm saying? Like it was the move to make at the time. I mean, it took a lot of nuts. What we always thought, we've talked about this in our podcast, that to go after the Oz twins, you've got to basically want to throw away your game. Because when you take one out, there's still two that's going to be pissed off at you.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, he took that. He took that shot and he stayed around. So we'll, with you and Liz on the block, you're going to win this veto. Vanessa famously tells Julia to pick you in this veto. It goes the way it does. You're going to end up ultimately winning it and saving yourself. Where was your mind during this beginning? I would say about 12 hours you were racing. Would you say that's about right, or was it?
I was so on fire for like 12 hours. I was so pissed. I was so angry because I was like, that was our comp. We had this. Oh my God. Julia challenges Vanessa, beats Vanessa. Johnny Mac challenges Liz or me. Maybe me, I beat him. Then it's down to me, Liz, and Julia, and we just throw it to Julia. She takes Liz off the block, and we're all safe. However, of course, even if that happened, I bet somehow Vanessa probably would have tried to influence it and get me out, and I probably still would have gone. It would have been the worst. Then the twins would have voted me out. Like, I just know that Vanessa's mind, she had set up like Julia with too much information every week, and this was her final opportunity to make that big play against me. Like, all these things that weren't, true. She would take half truths and spin it because the week before when Julia was up on the block with Meg, she came up to me the night before and went, Austin, are you going to vote me out? I'm like, no. Like, what are you talking about? There's like the chance of that happening is like 0.0.
Yeah.
I mean, no. Why the hell would I do that? That's insane. And she's like, well, I just don't know. I'm like hearing stuff from Vanessa, and like I'm like, oh, okay. This is when she's working every angle, and then she got her in the veto, and I know Julia really feels bad about that whole thing. But she did it, and like I couldn't throw it to Julia in that first round.
No
way.
No way.
So I was just like, and I thought the whole house was maybe in on it. And I was like, Liz, please tell me you're not in on this right now.
Yeah.
And she wasn't, which was good. But like, and neither was Julia. They kind of both got kind of conned in that situation. Because I had looked over to Liz and go, please tell me she's picking Johnny Mac right now. Please tell me she's picking Johnny Mac. She's like, she's picking Johnny Mac. I'm like, she won't look over here. She won't look over here. And then she gets up and she picks me, and I went, Liz, this is what I knew what was going on in Vanessa's head.
No,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, Liz, talk to your sister. Talk to your sister, Liz.
Like, hold on, production. We gotta
I know.
figure some shit out.
I know. And then I'm looking over at Jesse, Mr. Spectacular's going,
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know what the hell's going on. This is ridiculous. And it was just all, and because Vanessa knew she would go up if Julia was able to win, and she would probably go up, and that was it. She was saving herself. That's why I went in the bathroom, like, Vanessa, that's a great game move. You did it. You kept yourself safe. I get it. It happened. Let's move on. I'm going to be here. You're going to be here. Let's be friends. You say what you need to say at that point. I can't walk around the house like Judas.
Yeah,
it's just stupid.
Yeah,
it's just stupid.
Because
all that stuff I did at the veto, as soon as the camera stopped rolling, my housemates, they're all laughing with me. It was all they knew it. Whenever I would do the character stuff, I needed them to laugh with me because it's the dumbest thing in the world to do in this game. If they're actually scared of you.
Well, that's the other thing is that you did a great job on that competition, coming from a former winner of that competition.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and then afterwards you start, like, you put on a show. I constantly say this where everyone's like, oh, Austin is blah, 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 a bunch of bullshit, where it's like, this dude's putting on a show. Like, he's a wrestler. The dude knows how to entertain, and he's giving us some entertainment, so be thankful, motherfuckers.
That's all it was.
You did great. You did good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like to be sarcastic and mess with the cameras, and I know the house guests, they thought it was funny, and I know production told me after they're like, this is hysterical.
Yeah.
I don't know why people take me so seriously. I don't take myself seriously. I know when I'm doing this, I'm making fun of myself.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's the point, you know.
Very aware.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Going
let's,
into
we've got week 12, which actually day 85, I guess you'd say.
Oh God.
Here's this. I know you've been waiting for this one. Vanessa's HOH. She nominates John and Steve. John is going to win this veto, and she's gonna just don't worry, old buddy Austin. You're gonna be fine. Mm-hmm. So talk about this.
I mean, at this point, I'm pretty defeated with trying to beg and stuff. So I made one deal with her right away. It was like a 3-part deal. We shook on it. She swore to me on like everything that it was real. I thought it was real. I didn't need to question it. She's like, yeah, I'm definitely taking you, further. We can't go against each other now. It's been 87 days. No alliance has made it this long. Why would we go against each other? This is amazing. It's going to go down in history. And I presented every option why me and Liz in the Final Four with her was better than Steve and Johnny Mac. And I thought she understood that she needed to keep me loyal because she had lost her integrity with everyone else. And as long as she had the integrity with that original alliance member, then, hey, if we're in the final 2 together, she can be like, look, I did most of the work in this house. I didn't screw everyone. I didn't screw Austin. We were together. I should win over him. And she could have sold that to people. And she may have beat me. But as soon as she did that, and I said, like, hey, you're not going to win. And everyone's giving me saying, oh, classless to say stuff like that. You went out like, oh, you wouldn't leave the house, which I left right away. But what I meant by that when I said that, and this is something I told you, I kind of made a mistake. I should have said, hey, if any of you bring her to the final 2, she is going to win. Because I fed right into her hand by saying you're not going to win. Because now everyone's going to take her. She wants me to say that.
Exactly.
So I messed up. But when I told Julie Chen afterwards, like, she's not going to win, it wasn't because I'm going to go in the jury house and be bitter, but like I'm still playing the game in the jury house, and like she just kind of screwed me over. And now I'm going to show her, hey, look, I had a lot more power and pull with people than you think. I'm going to present arguments that show people that you did a lot of things you didn't need to do, including get rid of me, and I'm going to turn everyone around, and they're not going to vote for you. And watch. And it was going to be more game, but I didn't need to because I obviously had to. She didn't make the final 2. So. Which I felt like vindicated me.
Now, honestly, okay, let's talk about this. Now, whatever you say, it's a bitter jury member.
Sure, I know. Okay, there's no way to go around that.
Sure.
I told Dr. Will, Bitterville population.
I got you. Totally.
I was like, let's get that out of the way.
But in your defense, if she'd been there against Liz or Steve there against Liz, Liz played a phenomenal game. Strategically, you held her hand the whole time. She won competitions, though.
Yeah.
She got her sister in the house and played with her all the way towards, like the last, 14 days roughly.
Yeah.
Something crazy. A lot longer than was ever expected. A powerful showmance that was in charge, that was in controlling portion of an alliance that stomped through the house. She could have beaten Andy. She could have beaten Ian. She's got a winning game. She absolutely did. So your vote for her against either Vanessa or Steve is completely justifiable.
Thank you.
One. Now, if you'd have told everybody not to vote Vanessa played a good game. As long as you'd given her due credit.
Yeah.
Your
here's
vote
the thing I
still
told
could
people.
legitimately go to Liz.
Well, and here's the thing I told people. Look, I'm not going to tell you not to vote for someone. If you guys think that she played the best game, vote for her. If you think that you want to vote based on who wins the most competitions, vote for her. But to say that she ran people's games, you don't know the whole story. The entire alliance made it to the final 6. We dominated as a group. She could have done this from week 3 on and probably still been in the same spot and not pissed everyone off. So creating all that paranoia and being a pseudo target all these weeks doesn't make you a great game player, in my opinion, necessarily.
Now, I'll tell you this, man, like I said earlier, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Vanessa played a really good game. She
did.
Was able to extract information from people.
Impressive.
They were scared to laugh to her, so they tell her the truth. And then she could compare everything, and she basically knew what was going on. Like I said, especially coming from an information deficit at the beginning of the game, where she really kind of seemed to be out of things. And then, like I said, Audrey really helped that. But Vanessa did play a good game. Now, she played about 3 seasons worth of Big Brother in 1 season of Big Brother. And I do agree that if she'd kept her mouth shut and just been chill, she probably would have made it just as far. I've got to say that.
Yeah,
so
maybe further.
Without the target on her back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe further even. But once Steve eliminated her, it was just pandemonium. So he's going to win.
Steve, that was the winning move for Steve. They couldn't have broke down any other way. But
I guarantee you, no one heard a word. No one heard a word that anyone said when we questioned the final 2. Everyone it was over as soon as he left. It was just I couldn't process anything. The keys are going in for Steve. I knew it. I was like, oh man. I was happy, but I was like, I know Liz is not going to win.
Okay.
So,
Like Vanessa wanted to take Liz to the final two. Okay.
yeah.
So what is like she's pretty smart. I don't like I said I've been accused of making fun of game theory on this podcast before. But what is the point of taking some of the final two that has got two for sure jury votes? You know what I'm saying? So like that's something that I've always kind of felt odd. Do you have an answer for that? And
yeah, I think ultimately she was going to make these arguments that I played Liz's game and things like that. And I think she was going to play on this predominantly female jury. Well, actually, I guess it kind of leveled out. But the females early on in the jury, I think she thinks that even though they were hating her, that she could have had their votes. She knew for some reason that her and Shelley was going to always vote for her no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell the deal is with that. But Shelley was always going to vote for her.
Shelley's so wholesome. Hell, she probably like gave her a pinky swear before she left the house and was not going to break it. I don't break my pinky swears. I mean, like it could have been something as simple as that.
But I think I'm not sure because honestly, I really think Liz would have beat Vanessa. And the reason is like basically when I was talking to people in the jury, the brass tacks finally came together in the jury house and were like, look, if that's them too, let's make a statement and all vote together. And like that was James and Meg coming to me with that in the jury, and I'm like, okay, brass tacks.
Wow.
And we were all going to say brass tacks when we put our keys in if it was Vanessa in the final two.
That's funny.
So unless that like last 6 days where we don't get to talk to each other after the round table because they don't, we have the round table and we can't talk. Yeah. Unless people start thinking on their own and decide to go elsewhere with their vote, I really believe Liz would have beat Vanessa.
It sounds like it's very possible. Like I said, her game was phenomenal. Her game was a winning game on many of the past seasons. I mean, like even
I really think so.
you put her against like Hayden. I mean, some of the stats match up. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's an interesting thing. Obviously, these people could never have been against each other. So people are out there. Well, she wouldn't have beat Dr. Wheel in season 2. Shut the fuck up. I don't need to hear that.
Exactly.
But anyway, dude. Fucking great game. I mean, this is really it. It's we need to wrap it up. We don't want to go too long.
For being in a showmance and being a fucking huge physical threat, a monster. You fucking destroyed this game. You did so fucking well. You put yourself in the perfect positions week after week. Sure, it was dicey a lot of times, but still, you had so much insulation. You had so many good relationships with people. I just want to say, you played a fucking excellent game, and do not let anyone tell you differently because they're fuckheads.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, guys. I tried, and like I made sure too that I never did anything that would jeopardize friendships outside of the house too, because I want to be friends with everyone. It's an experience that no one else can really ever understand, and you guys get that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, dude, like I said, a phenomenal time visiting here with you. Is there anything about your game that we did not cover? We try to go in detail, and sometimes we go a little too far in the weeds. But is there anything that we didn't cover you'd like to cover? I do have one final question for you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and you can answer this while you're thinking. Okay, you get involved with Chase early on, and it turns to shit on you. Liz is your basically parachute outside of Shelltown. Julia's coming in. Things are looking good. You get in a good space. Okay. After you get over your little snafu week 5, you're pretty much in you controlling things in a controlling hand going up through to day 80, 85, 89. Okay, so trajectory or strategy. How much of it was where you were just going to head naturally and you just played it as it rolled around, or how much of it was taking steps to the left when you needed to step to the left, and how much? So,
honestly, I was just kind of following my heart on stuff. Like I was like, I want to be here. I want to do this. I want to do this. And then all of a sudden the pieces started just forming around me. And I'm like, oh, this is fate. It's just working out. And I'd love to take credit. Like this was a master strategy. I knew if I had this person, this domino would fall. It wasn't like that. I was like doing my thing on a daily basis, just living my life, getting to know these people that I was starting to really care about. And then, by being honest and open with people, next thing you know, I'm in a position of power where now I have to start manipulating and trying to move pieces around. And it's working. But it really kind of just formed on its own because of the fact that, I was connecting with Liz after Jace left. And then I had a lot of luck early. A lot of things had to fall right. I had to survive that week 5. Once I survived that, it was open season for me to now be a strategist and show what I could do. And hopefully I showed some of it,
No, absolutely. You were very tactical. You're a lot more tactical player than we've had in a lot of past seasons, several of the past seasons. But I really did. Like I said, I had your back all season. Really enjoyed watching you play. I saw the merits of what you were doing. I appreciate somebody that can position themselves week to week to where they're with all the nominations. You only got nominated twice. You won the veto once, and like basically it was just your time there at the end. It just kind of fell fucked up, and you just didn't have it.
I needed to win a comp.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the way it gets towards the end. So, but anyway, Austin, I really appreciate you sitting down, talking with us about your game, going over in great detail some of the stuff, because it was a great season. It's fun to watch you, and it's awesome to talk to you about it.
Yeah, man.
What do you got to plug? We've had your Twitter up, but just tell everyone your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
You've got some dates coming up, possibly.
Yeah. Well, Judas Draven on Twitter. On Instagram, it's Judas Draven as well. And then on Snapchat, it's Judas Devlin, which is my WWE name. Other than that, I do have some stuff coming. I think November 14th, I'm going to be in Miami to wrestle in Miami. I'll have more info on that show coming up. And then some appearance stuff. I think I'm going to be in Vegas maybe at some point, like the 15th and 16th for Freak Show Wrestling. Okay. Signing autographs. So I'm doing some wrestling stuff. We'll see what else, comes to start. Everything's happening at once. It's still very new. I got a lot of other interviews to do. A lot of people want to talk to me. Oh, yeah. You guys kept the game. A lot of people want to go very personal with the stuff. So
that's what people have to do when they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So I'll just tell you that.
There we go.
But another thing is, like, while you're in the house, there's lots of controversy surrounding this. But like Andrea the Giant, I don't know if you know about this. She held a press conference and said a bunch of very foul things about you and demands a rematch. I don't know. I'm fucking with you. Like that.
I need a rematch. She destroyed me. I wasn't ready for it. She chokeslammed me through the freaking mat, almost broke my spine in half. But I'm ready to take her down. That could be a freak show wrestler.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
That so much.
Like that link started floating around with that video, and it was really too funny. So awesome. Oh, that was so awesome. But I don't watch wrestling. Like, I don't have anything against it. It's just not something I get into. I'm a reality TV guy, whatever. But like, it looks fun as hell to do. Like, it really does. It looks like it's absolutely got to be a total
fun. It's kind of like Big Brother. You got to manipulate the audience, just like you have to manipulate your house guests. Kind of like you got to get people to have a certain emotional reaction to what you do. Yeah. So, and that's like it's there's some parallels. With anything. So
I'm good at getting people to hate me. So yeah.
Well, I guess I am too.
To try it. No, anyway. Well, hey, all right, dude. We're saying goodbye to everybody, but stay put, Austin. We'll talk to you after we hang up here.
So everyone, we've got plenty of shows. We're gonna try to do a show every week. We've got all the fixins on Thursday, covering Survivor, and then we've got Pit Stop with Mikey and Rochelle on Friday, and then after that, we're just gonna have episodes coming out every single week or every single day of all these house guests. So stay tuned and.
We're trying. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to try to release these episodes one a day. We want to make sure that they get plenty of time to be viewed before we just want to overload you with hours and hours of interviews. So please hit that subscribe button and be looking for new things coming every day. Thanks a lot, everybody.
See you guys. Bye bye.